Message board.
Message board.
Messaging.
Messaging.
An electronic messaging system.
Messed up.
Messed up.
Messenger.
Messenger.
Messenger boy.
Messenger boy.
Mess hall.
Mess hall.
Messiah.
Messiah.
The club was in desperate need of a new footballing messiah.
Messianic.
Messianic.
Many young people have an admirable messianic zeal about them.
Messrs.
Messrs.
Messrs. Ford and Dobson.
Messy.
Messy.
A messy room.
Sorry the place is so messy. I haven't had time to clear up.
He's just been through a particularly messy divorce.
Messy jobs like plumbing, plastering and tiling.
Mestizo.
Mestizo.
Met.
The Met.
Meta.
Metaphysical.
Metabolism.
Metabolic.
Metabolic.
Fish normally have a high metabolic rate.
Exercise can increase your metabolic rate.
The metabolic activity of the brain.
Metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome.
Metabolism.
Metabolism.
This drug speeds up your metabolism.
The vast majority of alcohol metabolism occurs in the liver. The vast majority of alcohol metabolism occurs in the liver.
The metabolism of fat by the liver.
Metabolize.
Metabolize.
Metadata.
Metadata.
Metal.
Metal.
The gate is made of metal.
A small black metal box.
They traded in gold and other precious metals. The old trucks were sold as scrap metal.
Meta-language.
Metalanguage.
Metal detector.
Metal detector.
Metal fatigue.
Metal fatigue.
Metallic.
Metallic.
The key turned in the lock with a loud metallic click.
The pans made a metallic clatter as they crashed to the floor. He spoke in a thin, metallic voice.
He drives a metallic red van.
The gum left a horrible metallic taste in my mouth.
Metallic particles.
Metallurgy.
Metallurgy.
Metalwork.
Metalwork.
A huge collection of antique metalwork.
Students can study woodwork or metalwork. Metamaterial.
Metamaterial.
Metamorphic.
Metamorphic.
This metamorphic rock has been compressed for millions of years.
Metamorphose.
Metamorphose.
From an easygoing young girl, she had metamorphosed into a neurotic middle-aged woman. From an easygoing young girl, she had metamorphosed into a neurotic middle-aged woman.
Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis.
It took me some time to undergo the metamorphosis from teacher to lecturer.
The metamorphosis of China under Deng's economic reforms. Beetles undergo a complete metamorphosis in their life cycle.
Metaphor.
Metaphor.
She uses some wonderful images and metaphors in her writing.
A very creative use of metaphor.
Their relationship is a metaphor for the failure of communication in the modern world. Their relationship is a metaphor for the failure of communication in the modern world.
Metaphorical.
Metaphorical.
The word has a metaphorical as well as literal meaning.
His need to escape from the metaphorical chains that held him. His need to escape from the metaphorical chains that held him.
She was literally and metaphorically in perfect shape. Metaphysical.
Metaphysical.
A lot of scientists don't like discussing metaphysical matters.
Metaphysics.
Metaphysics.
Metatarsal.
Metatarsal.
Meet.
Meet.
He felt he had a right to mete out physical punishment to the children. He felt he had a right to mete out physical punishment to the children.
Judges are meting out harsh sentences for car theft. Judges are meting out harsh sentences for car theft.
Meteor.
Meteor.
Astronomers track large meteors using radar.
A meteor shower.
Meteoric.
Meteoric.
A meteoric rise from dancer to professional actress.
The company has experienced meteoric growth.
The scandal ended his meteoric political career.
Meteoric iron.
His career faded as meteorically as it grew.
Meteorite. Meteorology.
Meteorology.
The storms have baffled meteorologists in the United States. Satellites that provide meteorological data to the National Weather Service.
Meter.
Meter.
A man came to read the electricity meter.
The taxi driver left the meter running while I ran in to pick up my bags.
All our water is metered now.
Meter maid.
Meter maid.
Methadone.
Methadone.
Methamphetamine.
Methamphetamine.
Methane.
Methane.
Methane is one of the principal gases contributing to the greenhouse effect.
Methanol.
Methanol.
Methinks.
Methinks.
Methinks he is not mistaken.
Method.
Method.
Traditional teaching methods.
I think we should try again using a different method.
Today's methods of birth control make it possible for a couple to choose whether or not to have a child.
Effective methods for the storage and retrieval of information.
There's no method in the way they do their accounts.
Methodical.
Methodical.
He always checked every detail in a methodical way.
A methodical approach to answering questions.
She's a very methodical person. He had a neat, methodical mind.
He went through the papers methodically, one by one.
Methodist.
Methodist.
A Methodist chapel.
Methodology.
Methodology.
We've been developing a new methodology for assessing new products.
There are some differences in methodology between the two studies.
There are a few methodological issues we need to discuss.
The study was methodologically flawed.
Methought. Methought.
Meths.
Myths.
Methuselah.
Methuselah.
Methyl alcohol.
Methyl alcohol.
Methylated spirits.
Methylated spirits.
Meticulous.
Meticulous.
He kept meticulous accounts.
Their planning and preparation were meticulous.
He cleaned the tools with meticulous care.
The book describes his journey in meticulous detail.
He was meticulous in his use of words.
He has always been so meticulous about his appearance.
The attack was meticulously planned and executed.
Métier.
Métier.
Acting is not my métier.
Me too.
Me too.
Meter.
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 A millimeter.
A kilometer.
Metric.
Metric.
A metric ton.
The parts all come in metric sizes now.
Metrical.
Metrical.
Metrication.
Metrication.
Most businesses are in favour of metrication. Metric system.
Metric system.
Metric ton.
Metric ton.
Metric ton.
Metro.
Metro.
The Paris Metro.
It'll be quicker to go on the metro.
A metro station.
Metronome.
Metronome.
Metropolis.
Metropolis.
The city has become a huge, bustling metropolis.
Metropolitan.
Metropolitan.
A metropolitan area of South Australia. Metropolitan France.
Metropolitan police.
Metropolitan police.
Metrosexual. Metrosexual.
Metal.
Metal.
A crisis which will test the minister's mettle.
We'll have to be on our mettle from the start. This was just his way of keeping me on my mettle.
Mettlesome.
Meddlesome.
Mew.
Mew.
The cat mewed at me.
Muse.
Muse.
Mexican.
Mexican.
The Mexican government. The Mexican border.
Mexican food.
Mexican wave.
Mexican wave.
Mezzanine.
Mezzanine.
The mezzanine floor.
Mezzo.
Mezzo.
Mezzo-soprano.
Mezzo-soprano.
Mezzotint.
Mezzotint.
MFA.
MFA.
MG.
Megahertz. Megahertz. Michigan. Me. Michigan. Me.
Me.
MI5.
MI5.
A government agent working for MI5.
MI6.
MI6.
He used to work for MI6. The head of MI6.
MIA.
MIA.
There are still more than 500 MIAs.
Meow.
Meow.
The cat jumped away with a loud meow.
Miasma.
Miasma.
He looked up at me through a miasma of cigarette smoke.
A foul miasma lay over the town.
The miasma of defeat hung over them.
Mica.
Mica.
Mice.
Mice.
Michaelmas.
Michaelmas.
Mick.
Mick.
Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse.
The charity has been described as a Mickey Mouse operation. A Mickey Mouse job.
Mickey.
Mickey.
He's always taking the mickey out of me.
Micro.
Micro. Micro. Micro.
Microelectronics.
A microorganism.
Microbe.
Microbe.
Microbiology.
Microbiology.
A microbiological examination of the fibers found near the body.
Microblogging. Microblogging.
Microbrew.
Microbrew.
Microbrewery.
Microbrewery.
Microchip.
Microchip.
Japan's largest producer of microchips.
The microchip industry.
Microclimate.
Microclimate.
The valley has its own unique microclimate.
Microcomputer.
Microcomputer.
Microcosm.
Microcosm.
New York's mix of people is a microcosm of America. New York's mix of people is a microcosm of America.
All the problems of society can be seen here in microcosm.
The forces which we see at work on a microcosmic scale.
Microcredit.
Microcredit.
Microdermabrasion. Microdermabrasion.
Microdot.
Microdot.
Microeconomics.
Microeconomics.
Microelectronics.
Microelectronics.
The latest developments in microelectronics.
A new system that has been developed using microelectronic technology.
Microengineering.
Microengineering.
Microfiche.
Microfiche.
Details of all members are now available on Microfiche.
Microfilm.
Microfilm.
Most of the daily newspapers are available on microfilm.
Microfinance.
Microfinance.
Microgeneration.
Microgeneration.
Microlight.
Microlight.
Micromanage.
Micromanage.
Micrometer.
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 Micrometer. Micrometer. Microorganism.
Microorganism.
Micropayment. Micropayment.
Microphone.
Microphone.
She spoke confidently into the microphone.
They searched the room for hidden microphones.
Micropower.
Micropower.
Microprocessor.
Microprocessor.
Microscooter.
Microscooter.
Microscope.
Microscope.
Abnormalities in the cells can be seen quite clearly under a microscope.
Each sample was examined through a microscope.
Our prison system is being put under the microscope after an alarming number of suicides.
Microscopic.
Microscopic.
A microscopic speck of dust.
Inspectors discovered microscopic cracks in the hull of the submarine.
The cells were identified through microscopic analysis.
The seeds are microscopically small.
Microsecond.
Microsecond.
Microsite. Microsite.
Microsurgery.
Microsurgery.
Microwave.
I'll heat it up in the microwave.
You can heat it up under the grill or microwave it.
A new range of microwavable snacks.
Mid.
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 A young woman in her mid-20s.
The mid-60s were a turning point in sports car design.
In mid-July. He stopped mid-sentence.
Mid-air.
Mid-air.
The planes collided in mid-air.
A mid-air collision.
Midas touch.
Midas touch.
A talented young businessman with the Midas touch. A talented young businessman with the Midas touch.
Mid-Atlantic.
Mid-Atlantic.
She spoke in a soft, mid-Atlantic accent.
Midday.
Midday.
I'm meeting him at midday.
I got there around midday. By midday it had begun to warm up.
We stopped off in Colchester for our midday meal. We stopped off in Colchester for our midday meal.
The full heat of the midday sun.
Midden.
Midden.
Medal. Meddle.
I don't like other people meddling in the way I run this prison. I don't like other people meddling in the way I run this prison.
He accused the U.S. of meddling in China's internal affairs.
I'm not the sort of newspaper owner who meddles with editorial policy.
You have no right to come in here meddling with my things.
Meddling politicians.
Middle age.
Middle age.
Men who smoke are more likely to have heart attacks in middle age.
Middle-aged.
Middle-aged. A middle-aged businessman.
Living with Henry had made her feel middle-aged.
Middle Ages.
Middle Ages.
Middle America.
Middle America.
Middlebrow.
Middlebrow.
Middle C.
Middle C.
Middle class.
Middle class.
This led to the creation of a new, affluent middle class. Home ownership was once a privilege of the middle classes.
Middle class.
Middle class.
A middle-class family.
They lived a comfortable middle-class life.
Middle distance.
Middle distance.
She just stood there gazing into the middle distance.
Middle distance.
Middle distance.
Middle ear.
Middle ear.
Middle East.
Middle East.
Middle England.
Middle England.
Middle finger.
Middle finger.
Middle ground.
Middle ground.
The negotiators could find no middle ground.
Middleman.
Middleman.
He acts as a middleman for British companies seeking contracts in the Gulf.
Buy direct from the manufacturer and cut out the middleman.
Middle management.
Middle management.
Middle name.
Middle name.
Don't worry, discretion is my middle name.
Middle of the road.
Middle name.
Middle of the road.
A party offering safe middle-of-the-road policies.
Their first album was quite good, but the second was very middle-of-the-road stuff.
Middle ranking.
Middle ranking.
Middle-ranking officers and bureaucrats.
Middle school.
Middle school.
Middle-sized.
Middle-sized.
A middle-sized company.
Middleware.
Middleware.
Middleweight.
Middleweight.
Middle west.
Middle west.
Middling.
Middling.
A tennis player of middling talent.
Midfield.
Midfield.
He plays in midfield.
An excellent midfield player.
The midfield did very well in the first half.
Midfielder.
Midfielder.
Midge.
Midge.
Midget.
Midget.
A midget submarine.
Midi.
Midi.
A holiday cottage in the Midi.
Midlands.
Midlands.
Midlife crisis.
Midlife crisis.
Midnight.
Midnight.
The train is due in at midnight.
We stayed there until way after midnight.
You can't phone her now. It's gone midnight. By the time he arrived, it was well past midnight.
The treaty will come into force on the stroke of midnight tonight.
He's gone for a midnight swim.
Midnight blue.
Midnight blue.
Midnight sun.
Midnight sun.
Midpoint.
Midpoint.
At the midpoint of the study, all those taking part were interviewed again.
Mid-range.
Mid-range.
Midriff.
Midriff.
Midsection.
Midsection.
There are 24 missiles in the submarine's midsection.
Midshipman.
Midshipman.
Midst.
Midst.
The government is in the midst of a major crisis.
We were sitting in the midst of an elegant and well-dressed audience.
I fear we have an enemy in our midst.
Midstream.
Midstream.
They had to drop the experiment in midstream.
He interrupted the official in midstream.
The boat had anchored in midstream.
Midsummer.
Midsummer.
A perfect midsummer afternoon.
Midsummer Day.
Midsummer Day.
Midterm.
Midterm.
Midterm elections.
Midterm tests.
Midtown.
Midtown.
Midway.
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 The city is midway between Edinburgh and London.
Leeds scored midway through the first half.
Midweek.
Midweek.
There are often discounts available for midweek travel.
The match will be played in midweek.
Midwest.
Midwest.
Midwife.
Midwife.
Midwifery.
Midwifery.
Midwinter.
Midwinter.
The mountains look beautiful in midwinter.
Mid-year.
Mid-year.
Sales had improved by mid-year. A mid-year review.
Mean.
Mean.
Her sorrowful mien.
Miffed.
Miffed.
I felt a bit miffed that no one had told me about the trip. I felt a bit miffed that no one had told me about the trip.
Might.
Might.
I might be a few minutes late.
She might not want to come with us.
He might have missed the train.
This might well be her last public performance.
One of the guards might easily panic and shoot someone.
He might be able to help you.
I thought they might have gone home.
She was worried that we might get hurt.
It was terrifying. We might have been killed. If you need more information, you might try the internet.
I thought we might go to the new Chinese restaurant on the high street.
It might be a good idea to put those plants in the shade.
We're going to a concert. You might like to come with us.
Might I borrow your pen?
I wonder if I might speak to your son. He asked if he might come in and look around.
You might at least say thank you.
They might have cleaned up before they left.
I asked for names and addresses so that I might pass on details to the police.
Might I ask how old you are? Might I just say how lovely it is to see everyone here today?
I might say, not surprised.
I might have known it was you.
I might have guessed I'd get no sympathy from my family. I suppose we might as well go home.
They might as well have a badge on them saying, "Steal me."
He might as well have been 1,000,000 miles away.
He might be nearly 17, but he's still very immature.
Surprising as it might seem, some tourists actually enjoy the British weather. Surprising as it might seem, some tourists actually enjoy the British weather.
Although she might understand his beliefs, she could not accept them.
Try as I might, I couldn't work out the answer.
And who might you be, young man?
What do they hope to achieve? You might well ask.
A system of which we in Britain might well be envious.
This caused a few gasps, as well it might. This caused a few gasps, as well it might.
Two individuals who took on the might of the English legal system.
He swung the axe again with all his might.
Might have beens.
Might have beens.
Mightily.
Mightily.
A mightily impressive piece of work.
I was mightily relieved when we landed at Manchester Airport.
We laboured mightily to rebuild the walls. We laboured mightily to rebuild the walls.
Mightn't.
Mightn't.
Mighty.
Mighty.
The mighty Mississippi River.
A mighty army.
You seem mighty sure of your facts. They got out of there mighty fast, I can tell you.
Migraine.
Migraine.
I won't be coming this evening. I've got a migraine. He suffers from severe migraine.